Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, January 29th, 2017. This is episode 1359. And before we get to the show, one more reminder, we're doing the survey. We do this every year to get to know our audience a little better, help advertisers understand who listens to our show, and help us make better content for you. It's a simple survey this year. Just take a couple of minutes. If you can't answer a question or we don't give you the right choices, just skip it and go to the next one. twit.tv/survey. Whatever you can give us, we'd appreciate it. And believe me, we're not collecting any personal information. Your privacy is absolutely protected. twit.tv/survey. And now, the tech, without further ado, as they say, the Tech Guy Podcast. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Setting my phone to stun. It's time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and virtual reality and self-driving vehicles and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach us. You just call us via Skype. That'll work. And I know we have a lot of listeners all over the internet, so please give us a ring. If you have something to talk about, a question, you need some help, a suggestion, a recommendation, all of that's welcome. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Fascinating night last night to watch the battle at the airports as President Trump's executive order banning people from certain countries, even green card holders, from entering the United States for 90 days. And the reaction of the tech community was loud. In fact, one of the founders of Google, Sergey Brin, who is himself an immigrant, went to San Francisco International to the terminal to protest. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, also an immigrant, said, "We're upset about the impact of this order. We've always made our views on immigration issues known publicly. We'll continue to do so." Almost 200 Google employees were affected by the ban, unable to return to the United States. Google's considering a recall of all of its employees, get them back in the country. Other tech companies responding equally vociferously to the ban. You know, a lot of these companies are powered by employees from all over the world, and some are affected. A great many of them are affected by this ban. Apple's CEO Tim Cook, who's in D.C. right now, he had dinner with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner on Thursday night. He's making the rounds. "It is not a policy we support. I share your concerns." Microsoft, its CEO, Satya Nadella, also an immigrant. "We share the concerns about the impact of the executive order on employees from the listed countries, all of whom have been in the United States lawfully." Mark Zuckerberg getting a little heat for being somewhat tepid in his response. I don't think it was that tepid. In fact, I think it was quite eloquent. He was one of the first to respond in a Facebook post on Friday. He said, "We need to keep this country safe, but we should do that by focusing on people who actually pose a threat. We should also keep our doors open to refugees and those who need help. Had we turned away refugees a few decades ago, Priscilla, his wife, Priscilla Chan's family, wouldn't be here today." So in Silicon Valley, at least, this is felt quite keenly because so many employees are immigrants and take this very personally. So we'll watch with interest to see what happens there. I'm a little unnerved. Maybe you've had this experience. My internet service provider at home is Comcast. Not that I want them, but I don't. That's the fastest choice available to me. I would far prefer not to. But, as with many people in this country, we have at best two choices, and in many cases only one. I'm browsing around, and all of a sudden a pop-up appears in my feed from Comcast saying you've exceeded your terabyte of download bandwidth for this month, and it happens one more time, we're going to have to start charging you. It's a little weird. I don't know why, because it's inconsistent. And I'm not doing anything different from month to month, but in October, it was 500 gigabytes. Then in November, it was 1,000 gigabytes plus, I think 1,400 gigabytes. Then in December, it was 500 gigabytes. It went back to normal. So I thought, oh, well, that was just a blip in November. And then in January, it's back to more than that. And I'm telling you, I know what I'm doing, nothing different. So I wonder if their metering is accurate. But that's not the thing that concerns me the most, although I'm no fan of bandwidth caps. I think those are anti-competitive. However, we should all be a little concerned about how Comcast does this. It's using something that, if you pay attention to security, is going to worry you a little bit, a man-in-the-middle attack, a JavaScript injection to serve ads and warnings as you are surfing the net. Comcast isn't the only company that does that. Because they're upstream as your internet service provider, they can take over your screen anytime they want and serve you that pop-up or ads if they want. In the past, AT&T has actually sold that information, unless you say specifically you don't want them to, for ads. This is not good. It's not good. Is this happening to you? This is not a capability you want your internet service provider to have or take advantage of. It's fundamentally dangerous. Thanks, Comcast. Another reason to hate you. I really do. Hey, a little word of warning, actually, a very tragic story. A geek couple in Berkeley, California, both graduates of MIT. He's a software designer, 35 years old. She's a postdoc student. Were using their 3D laser printer in the house, their apartment, and they weren't venting it to the outside. And unfortunately, this 3D laser printer produces carbon monoxide, an odorless, colorless, invisible, undetectable gas that replaces oxygen in the air and can kill you. And in fact, they and their two cats were all asphyxiated. Terrible stories. If I think we know enough not to do, like, put your barbecue in the house, right? You don't do a hibachi in the living room. And if you have a fire in the fireplace, you better have a chimney. And we really all had to have carbon monoxide detectors. But I guess they must have said something in the instructions. I guess they didn't read the instructions. And they were using the laser cutter and they asphyxiated themselves. Terrible, sad story. In the annals of ransomware, here's a new one. We talk about ransomware a lot. It's a terrible plague besetting the world through the internet. Bad guys inject software into your computer, usually by a phishing email that you open. They usually trick you. They say it's from your bank or the IRS or your boss. Open this, Smithers, open this Excel spreadsheet. It's important. I need these numbers tomorrow. You go, yes, sir. You open the thing, and it's not a spreadsheet. It's an application you can't tell that runs and scrambles all your data and then says, give us money if you ever want to see your data again. It's very effective. And the bad guys who use this technique make a lot of money. This is a new one, though. One of Europe's top hotels in Austria, the Alpine Turacher Hoy Pass. I'm saying that wrong. 4-star hotel in Austria. Actually, it's the Romantic Sea Hotel in Austria. Got hacked. The cyber criminals, though, didn't scramble their data. They locked the doors of all the rooms. They hacked into the electronic key system, and they locked all the guests either in the room, if they were in the room at the time, or out of their room, and demanded thousands of dollars in Bitcoin to unlock the door. The hotel said this is the third time. I wouldn't admit it if I were them. This is the third time they've been hit by these cyber criminals. New key cards couldn't be programmed. People couldn't get out. It coincided with the opening weekend of the winter season, a big time. And it was so massive, it even shut down all the hotel computers, the reservation system, the cash desk system. All they wanted, it was nothing, was 1,500 euros. Nothing. They paid, by the way, of course. It was cheaper and faster just to pay. Man. 8888, ask Leo. Let's talk tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Might have to retract that story about the sad story, and I was mostly mentioning it as a public service announcement about the couple who passed away in Berkeley, and their 2 cats passed away of unknown causes. I'm going to have to correct that. The story came from CBS television in San Francisco, which has since pulled it down. And so it may be, and they were quoting the police that said that's what they thought had happened, but maybe there were other causes. So nevertheless, a lot of fumes come off these printers. Probably a good idea to have a laser cutter to vent it outside. Follow instructions carefully. Let's put it that way. Time to get to the phones. The lovely and talented Kim Schaffer is here. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. Do we have anybody on the phone at all?
No, none.
Okay, so let's talk some more about 3D printing.
Yeah, no.
The chat room is going on and on about saying, "Oh, you can't kill yourself. You can't. The gases wouldn't hurt you." But I don't know. I mean, I
think smelling plastic stuff of any kind
can't be good for you.
Be good for your lungs. So
anyway, it's a very sad story. They were young, geek couple, and there was a laser something in the room. They said 3D printer in the news story, but that probably couldn't do it. So who knows? Anyway, Kim, let's talk about happier subjects. Let's talk to somebody on the phone.
Gordon in LA is making the big switch from Android to iPhone and has a few questions there.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yep.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Gordon.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I got a question for you, which is I made the big switch from Android to Apple. I had the LG V10 and I switched to the iPhone 6 Plus.
Okay.
And I was wondering if there's a way to get all my old WhatsApp messages back that I've been backing up for probably 3 years using Android, using Google Drive. Wondering if there's a way to get all that back onto my iPhone.
As WhatsApp messages, like kind of re-importing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did it. Did you change phone numbers?
No, same phone number.
So WhatsApp, when you moved it and signed up with the same phone number, it recognized you. It said, "Oh, hi," but it didn't save the old conversations, huh?
Correct. It only saved groups that I was a part of, and even then, all the messages were gone. It was just like a blank group, as if I just been added.
Yeah, WhatsApp says that's a feature. Remember, one of the benefits of using WhatsApp is the privacy involved, the security, and they say we don't, in fact, keep the messages. Yeah, which I guess you prefer that they don't store your chat history. So you were smart because you were backing them up on your Android. I guess you're just going to have to rely on that, Google Drive log, which is it's not in WhatsApp. It's just a separate document. Let me see here. To transfer your chats on your old phone to your new phone, this is WhatsApp, depending on which device you're using, there may be an option for you to transfer your chats. So let's see. And they say iPhone. Yeah, no, they say you need to back them up yourself, basically, and you did what they said to do on Android, which is back it up to Google Drive. But I don't know how you would then import.
Because I've tried importing it from the drive. I downloaded the Google Drive app to my iPhone, and bupkis.
Did you see it? It says in WhatsApp's documentation that when you move and verify your number, you should be offered a restore prompt. Says, "Would you like to restore your chats?" Did you get off?
What happened. That's what happened when I switched from the S5 to the V10. But when I switched from the V10 to iPhone 6 Plus, bupkis.
You didn't see a restore button.
Correct.
Are you using the same Google account that the Google Drive stuff has?
Yeah, I only have one email address with Google.
So it does say WhatsApp will ask you to restore your chats from a backup when you verify your number, and the backup has to be, among other places, can be on Google Drive. You have to be using the same account. My guess is it just doesn't work that way on Android, on iPhone.
That's my thought.
Yeah. It says you can recover your chat history from iCloud, but it doesn't say anything about recovering it from Google Drive. So I think you've crossed an impermeable barrier having moved from Android to iPhone.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, at least you had the good sense to back it up, and so you can open that Google Drive doc and read them, right?
Sometimes. I do still use my Android with the second phone number for work.
Okay. So they're there.
Have access to them.
Oh, yeah, because it's a different phone number. Yeah, WhatsApp identifies you by your phone number.
Right, but I do have access to them. Like, if I were to switch SIM cards for an hour or two, I do have access.
Okay, good. Right.
If I ever did need to pull anything out,
yeah,
I guess I would.
I'll have to put this on the list of things that don't, and there's quite a long list of things that don't, transfer when you move from Android to iOS.
Is that list somewhere on your website?
No, I'm making it up in my head as I go along. Some of this comes from the fact that iOS itself, Apple restricts a lot of the things apps can do, and for your own safety and security, Apple makes sure that you keep your hands and feet inside the car at all times. And they won't. I
hate it when they do that.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that. So you can see if I'm looking at the document in Android, there's 3 different ways you can restore. You can restore from your SIM card. You can restore from Google Drive. You can restore from a hard drive. There's all these ways to do it. On iOS, iCloud. And that really, I think that reflects more the restrictions Apple places on the developer than the developer's choice.
Well, the only thing I will give iPhone, though, is that it charges 10 times faster than any Android I've ever played with.
And iPhone battery life is considerably better than when I need long battery life, I'll go my iPhone 7 Plus because it'll go all day, no problem. And I've yet to find a modern Android phone. A lot of older Android phones will do that, but none of the new breed will.
Well, the beauty of Android is you can put in extended batteries.
Right. There's all sorts of other things you can do. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I think your experience is backed up by the fact that WhatsApp says you can't back it up.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
I tried.
You tried, and I'm glad you called. Yeah, I am kind of mentally, and I probably should put together a list on the website. I will work on this at techguylabs.com of gotchas is what it would be, moving from iOS to Android. We have one of our show hosts. We do a daily news show on my podcast network called Tech News Today, and the hosts are Android Buff, and host of All About Android, Jason Howell, and iOS Buff, and host of iOS Today, Megan Maroney. And they did a swap this month. We're coming to the end of the month. She took his Android Pixel and his Android Wear watch, which she's hating. He took her iPhone 7 and her iPhone, Apple Watch, which I don't know. I think Jason's doing all right, but Megan's really struggling with the move from iOS to Android. They're not, I don't think one is better than the other. There are definite differences. And the primary difference is with the iPhone, it's Apple's way or the highway. Android really is a little bit more loosey-goosey. And as a result, you could make an argument it's a little less safe. It's up to you, perhaps, to protect yourself. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Thank you, sir. So Cron had a different story. Let me scroll back and see that. This was updated 2 days ago. So over the past year, neighbors filed several complaints of a burning rubber smell coming from the couple's apartment. They believe the smell comes from some sort of generator in the apartment, but authorities did not confirm that. Carbon monoxide poisoning has been ruled out as a possibility. Okay. Police don't suspect foul play, but still haven't determined what killed the couple. Well, I guess they're going to have to do an autopsy. Yeah. Well, that's so sad. I did a little digging, and I apologize for passing along that story about the 3D printer. Apparently, no cause of death has yet been determined and won't be until the toxicology reports are finished, and that may take some time. But the public service announcement remains, if you're burning something in your home, please vent it outside. And everybody should have a carbon monoxide detector because you can't detect carbon monoxide. And it can kill you, that's for sure. Ryan in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, I'm doing well. Hey, I have a question. So I'm just wondering, how do you know if a computer is being hacked?
Ah.
Also, how do you know that if your Wi-Fi network, is also hacked? And if it is, what do I do?
Well, you must suspect something, right?
Yes.
Because you wouldn't ask that question. So what are the symptoms you're seeing?
I don't know. It's just that, I feel there's some intrusion going on.
Yeah. So one of the things that all this conversation about hacking, and there's a lot of it going on right now, can do is make us paranoid to the point where we see things. So you ask actually a very good question. How would you know? And there isn't really a great answer. There certainly are programs you can run, at the very least, antivirus programs that would at least scan your computer. If you have a Windows computer, Microsoft actually puts something called the Windows Defender and the malicious software removal tool on your system. All Windows 10 systems have it. Those both have scanners that you can run that look for well-known infections. But there are all sorts of ways a bad guy can get on your system, including of late, and you mentioned it, on your router. Your router's a little computer with not very much security built in. Older routers often have major, well-known vulnerabilities that bad guys could take advantage of. In many cases, almost all cases with the Internet of Things devices like doorbells, lights, routers, rebooting them sufficient to clear the infection out. The Mirai attack, which is probably the best-known worm that was spreading like wildfire, took advantage. It was the worm used to DDoS the internet about a month ago. It infected routers. It was hard to detect. I'll give you a couple of symptoms to look for, but it was easy to fix just rebooting the router. The problem is if the router was insecure, and as I said, some older routers are, it would just get reinfected almost immediately as the Mirai worm traveled around the internet. It was just opportunistic. So unusual use of bandwidth would be one. Mm-hmm. Ads popping up on the screen that don't belong. They come from sites that don't have those ads. They may appear. They may even take over site ads and put their own ads there. If you're on a reputable site and you see a disreputable ad, that's kind of a warning sign. But again, I don't want you to be paranoid because paranoia can cause you to see things that aren't really there, and then people get nervous and they don't use their system. So there are even more sophisticated tools you can use to detect oddball network activity. These require some additional skills, but they're worth looking into. Nmap is one, NMAP. It's a free program you can download, and it looks at open ports and traffic that's abnormal and tells you, hey, there's something contacting the internet on this machine. And that's very useful because if you didn't put it there, So I think learning to use Nmap, if you really want to be a security guy, this is a very important tool. Wireshark is another tool that's often used to monitor network traffic. So if you're concerned that you have a device that's phoning home, that's what hackers often do. They will, there'll be traffic going across your network that is oddball. Wireshark will actually show you what's the conversations are out there, and you can look into them and see. Let's see, what else can you do? Are you on Windows or a Mac?
Windows.
Yeah, on a Mac, there's some really cool little programs. There's one called Little Snitch that will watch outbound traffic and alert you if unapproved outbound traffic is going on. On Windows, there are various firewall products. The problem with these products that just sit on your system and watch is they can be disruptive. Sometimes they can even keep you from getting online. So I used to recommend something like Zone Alarm, which used to be a really great inbound and outbound firewall. The Windows firewall is only an inbound firewall. You want to see outbound traffic. If somebody puts something on your system, it's useless to them unless it connects to the outside world. Often what bad guys will do is they'll put malware on your system that joins an IRC channel, a chat channel, and then forms what they call a botnet. I've seen this actually happen. I remember it was some years ago watching a botnet evolve. If you went into this IRC channel, if you knew where it was, you could go there and watch machines that were being attacked, exploited, and taken over sign in. Basically saying, machine 6573 here reporting for duty.
I'm on the phone.
And yeah, he's on the phone right now. Don't bother him, Mom and Dad. And it was really an eye opener. I was shown it by law enforcement, and of course, right they were about to shut it down. They just said, "You're interested in seeing what this looks like? Here's what it looks like." And other machines were signing in every second, many machines. So it was a very busy chat room as these machines signed into the botnet. And what happens is that the hacker hides this chat room, doesn't want anybody to see it, usually running a private server. And now the hacker can issue commands to these thousands of commandeered machines, including perhaps yours, and use it to attack other machines. So there's all sorts of sneaky things that can be going on. I like the idea of viewing your traffic. Here's some other things. If you go to Microsoft has a website, a division called SysInternals. It's actually a company they acquired from Mark Russinovich. SysInternals has a number of really useful tools for this. Process Explorer is one. You can see what processes, what programs are running on your computer. They have another one called, Gollum's reminded me, TCP View, that will allow you to watch TCP traffic. There's all sorts of really great tools. They're very sophisticated. But you've got sophisticated adversaries, and so there's there's no switch built in. Check to see what's going on. This is, by the way, if you're interested in a career in IT, a very good skill to have, to learn how to detect malware and how to remove it, how to protect against it. These are really good skills nowadays because it's everywhere. But the chief tools people use, Nmap, Wireshark, are both free open source tools, very powerful. Go to SysInternals, Microsoft SysInternals. Those are all free for Windows. A good firewall will help you. And it's probably a good idea to be really careful about which Internet of Things devices you choose. It's best to use ones that are modern and from reputable companies that keep them up to date. And the problem has been a couple of things. First of all, routers are such cheap devices, such commodity devices, that there's not much incentive for the companies to keep an eye on security flaws or to ship updates. Also, most routers, you have to do the updating. What you really want is something that will automatically update. And the better, more modern routers, all those new mesh routers we're hearing about, like the Eero and the Luma and the Plume and the Orbi, they all update themselves. And that's a good thing. Here's a website that's interesting. I don't know if this works, but thank you, Badango Master, in the chat room. Whoisonmywifi.com. Is that real? I don't know how it would work. That's the problem, is outside testers don't really have the access. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, this is, I guess, an app that you can put on your machine. Who is on my Wi-Fi? That'd be useful. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, that's interesting.
You're out.
Who's on my Wi-Fi? That's a great subject, because you could go on and on and on that one. Download a free Who's on My Wi-Fi Windows, Mac, or Android detection agent to your computer. This runs on your network and locally inventories and detects devices. So this is who's using your Wi-Fi. This is probably not what you need. This is to see if some third party is using your Wi-Fi, which, is of interest. But what it won't show is if some program or process is running on your computer, because your computer, you already know your computer's connected to the Wi-Fi. It's not going to give you any additional information. What you want to see is if there's some process running that's using your Wi-Fi to connect to the outside world. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd recommend Who's on your Wi-Fi. It's $99 a month? Oh, no. And yeah, one person we know is on your Wi-Fi now, the guy who wrote that. So, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. What a great question from Ryan in LA. How do you know if somebody is lurking on your system? And it's going to get harder and harder to know, I think. And goodness gracious, no normal person should have to know how to use tools like Nmap and Wireshark. But I think, unfortunately, given how sophisticated the attackers are, you're going to have to be equally sophisticated to defend yourself. Oy vey. Oy, oy, oy. Martino in Orange County, California. Hi, Martino.
He just lived off a
Hello, Martino.
Hello, Leo. Can you hear me?
I hear you. How are you?
Yes, this is Martino Elliker with Little Bits and Bytes Computer Classes. How you doing?
Oh, Little Bits and Bytes. Is that a computer classes for kids?
Yeah, remember we talked a few times on the phone before.
How neat. How's that going?
Actually, I'm shutting it down this year because I had some other issues come up, but I'm still doing the computer stuff.
You know, you're doing important work.
Yes. Right now I'm doing some important work, too, for my brother's wife. I have a couple of hard drives here I'm working on, and when I plug them into the computers won't pick them up. And I use Cronus, and sometimes I can pick it up by adding a new hard drive. And I know you've mentioned the software several times on the shows before that there are...
Well, if you can't... No software is going to help you if you can't even see the drive.
Yeah, I can't see it at all.
Yeah, that, if you mean even when you're booting up and you go into BIOS setup? Well, I used to call it BIOS setup. The setup.
Well, I haven't tried BIOS, but I can
go.
Do that.
So it says press escape to go into setup or delete or do that and see if you can see the drives. If you can't see them, if they don't even show up, then you will not be able to run any software to fix them because the software has to be able to see the drive. So. And what that'll indicate, if you can't see the drive, is that the drive itself may be fine, that the circuit board on the drive may be damaged. There's a little green circuit board on there. If that's damaged or the connection is damaged, then the drive won't show up at all. Even a drive that has errors or, is physically damaged, or even if it's not spinning, it will at least show up in the boot process as a drive. You just won't be able to access the data on it. So that's the first thing is, can I see it? If you can't see it, then you really probably should just toss it, unless it's vital that you get the information.
Well, it's vital. It's vital because it's my brother's girlfriend, and she's some kind of network person, too.
Okay, and you're going to teach her after this about backup, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'm the... Well, I use your sponsor.
You use Carbonite, good man. And if she had, then she could toss the drive and she'd be okay. But obviously she didn't. This is the only copy. Now the bad news. So if the hardware is damaged, it's very expensive to get that data off because now you have to. Now you can't fix it. Now I hear you booting up, so you can check for me. You'll have to send this to somebody who has can physically fix hard drives. Companies like Drive Savers in Northern California do this.
Yeah, she's done that before, and she spent $200 or $300.
She got off light. She got off light. It could be thousands of dollars. And the reason that you need to go to them is because they have all the parts for all the different hard drives, and they can take off the circuit board and replace it. That's easy. You could even do that if you bought an exact duplicate drive. I mean, exact, down to the exact model number and the revision number and everything. You could take the circuit board off one and put it on the other. And so that you shouldn't have to pay a lot for. But let's say it's something, deeper damaged. They can actually take apart the drive in a clean room. They're all wearing bunny suits, and they can replace pieces. They have platters. They have heads. They have all the things. So, but that's pricey because that's, elaborate.
Exactly.
Can you hear the drive at all? Can you hear it spinning, clicking?
Yeah, the drive spins. The little blue light shows up and everything.
But it just doesn't show up on the computer.
Yeah, and I tried it on my Mac too, and it didn't show up.
And you're connecting it via USB? Okay.
Yeah, USB. It's a little 3.5-inch external hard drive.
Okay, and you know that your USB interface works.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that could be a problem too. If you can't, was it an internal drive or was it an external USB drive?
It's external all the time.
So that's.
I have a Lenovo laptop. I got to remember which F key boots up to the CMOS.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and actually, that BIOS isn't going to be helpful if it's a USB drive. It's not going to be helpful if it's. Yeah, it's not going to be helpful if it's a USB drive. It'll just because it's not going to show the drive as a SATA drive or any drive that you can access. It's just going to say, yeah, we have a USB interface. So what I'm saying at that point, if it's a USB drive and you don't see it when Windows boots up, you don't see it when the Mac boots up, no USB device shows up. It's the interface probably, and so it's either your interface that you're using, the external drive box that she's using. You can replace those. In fact, what I would suggest, and this is a great thing for somebody like you to have, Newer Tech sells a bare bones drive connection kit. And it's not for long-term use. The idea is you take the drive out of a computer or out of its enclosure, and you connect it up to what they call their USB universal drive adapter. And what it does, it has all the connectors. In this case, 3.5-inch drive, it had the right connector for that, big drive too. And it turns it into a USB interface. It's not for long-term use because the drive is actually exposed. It's outside. But what it's very useful for is just seeing if you can access that drive. This is only about $30. They're not expensive. Newer Tech, a lot of companies make these. The USB 3.0 universal drive adapter. It's what any tech should have if they're getting bare drives and trying to figure out, can I get the data off of this? And of course, you can bet that Drive Savers and people like that have a dozen of these. This is very, very handy. I have one. I use it all the time. Now, if you take the drive out of its old case, because maybe the enclosure is bad, maybe the USB is bad, and you take that drive out. Don't save any of the USB stuff. Just it should be a bare drive like you would put inside a laptop or a desktop. Connect it up to this drive adapter, and you still can't see it. Then probably the circuit board in the drive or the drive itself is damaged. So you're going to want to look at replacing that circuit board. And as I said, one way to do that would be get an identical drive and swap them. This is, kind of if I'm going to generalize this, and I like to do this because, is this going to happen to you? Maybe not, probably not. But it's a good lesson in troubleshooting. And I've mentioned this before, and it's a great thing to think about. If you have a problem with some device or technology, your goal is to eliminate all the possibilities, as Sherlock Holmes said, right? And whatever remains is your problem. And I always start with the easiest things, the cheapest things first. Check the cable first. Well, that's easy to check. Slowly work your way from the very easiest things to check to the hardest things to check. And that will help you. So getting this universal drive adapter helps eliminate a whole bunch of potential problems. The case, the external case it's in, the cable. It really gets you down to the bare drive. And if you're still having problems, then there's something wrong with the bare drive. Now is the hard part. You got to figure out what's wrong with the bare drive. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More to come right after this. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. You know the routine. Anything with a chip in it. My phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO. More importantly, my website is techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. If you go there, you will find all of the information we talk about on the show. You will find the chat room, a link to the chat room, which is a wonderful place to hang out. In fact, the chat room is so useful to me because they help us. For one thing, I forget things, and they remember. I have an experience with stuff, and they remind me. So if you want to be in the chat room, there's two roles you can play. One is just a participant, kind of the home version of our game, but the other is as a kind of team tech guy to help with answers and a lot of times we'll get callers who will join the chat room after the call and get additional information. So that's really handy. Link there is from techguylabs.com. And it goes to irc.twit.tv if you want to go there directly. Also there, audio and video from previous shows. and every question, every answer, and a great search tool. And all of this is free. Now, if you want to add comments, that's the only time I'll ever ask you for anything. If you want to, and I would love it if you would do this. That's another way you can participate as a member of Team Tech Guy. If you read an answer and you go, well, wait a minute, Leo, there was a better way, or I completely disagree, or I agree, but here's more information. You could do that in the comment. The web page is divided up among, into shows, and each show is divided up into hours, and each hour is divided up into questions. So you can go right to that question and say, here's what I think, or I'd like to add. And we do ask that you sign up for that. You can use your Facebook or your Twitter or your Google account to do that. And that's just to keep spam off. Because there's, spam's always a problem when you have commenting. But we don't collect the address and don't do anything with it. TechGuyLabs.com. Back to the phones we go. And this time to Cincinnati. Tristan is on the line. Hi, Tristan.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you. First, I want to thank you for recommending the Epson EcoTank. I got one for my mom, and she loves it.
Oh, that's great to know. They're a sponsor, so we like it when people like the sponsors, because that's what pays for the show. So I'm glad. Thank you. I agree. I have 2 of them. I'm quite fond of them myself. What can I do for you?
So I have all my files for work synced to Box.com and BoxSync.
Okay.
But after hearing you talk about backup, I'd really like to be able to have them backed up on some kind of drive and keep a copy of it at my house just in case something would ever happen.
So a good backup strategy has both local and off-site. And sometimes in the old days, we would call this we would divide backups into online backup, nearline backup, and offline backup. And that was really more paying attention to how long it would take you to get that data. So online backup would be a hard drive that's just connected right now to the computer that you have synchronizing with your data directories. So you'd have a copy on the computer, and then you'd have an additional copy on this external drive. That would be online backup. Nearline backup would be maybe you take that drive and you put it on a shelf. It's there, you can go get it and you can connect it, but it's not online. And then offline backup would be off in the cloud. And really, it's nice to have all 3. Look, the stuff is safer the more copies you have, and remember that sometimes data loss occurs because there's a fire or something happening to your nearline and your online backup, and so for that reason you have to have 1 copy of everything that's just offsite completely. In most cases, you'll never need it, but it's good to know it's there. So yeah, absolutely, have a local backup for sure.
So I bought 2 flash drives when they were on sale for like 64 gigabytes.
I know, they're so cheap now.
Yeah, they're a great deal now compared to what they used to be.
Oh, yeah.
But then I got them there, and I only use a Windows computer for work. I have a Mac at home, and I was thinking, how do I do this? Is there a better way than just dragging the files over there? Is there a way to sync to the 2 drives so I could switch them out every week?
Yeah, I like to use a file synchronization program. These are programs that can run on your computer, and when you insert the new media, they go, oh, there's the new drive. Let me see if it's a complete copy of the internal drive, and it synchronizes them. And in the case of backup, you want to do what's called one-way synchronization. You don't want to synchronize deletes. You only want to synchronize files, because you never want to delete a file from your backup. If that makes sense. There a program so Microsoft makes one that's very simple, but it's free, called SyncToy. And I think the word toy is Microsoft's intent to indicate this is not, this is not a high-end program. Although it does everything you need, SyncToy. And then I have always used, and maybe it's been a long time now, and maybe there are better choices. I'll query the chat room. But I've always used a program called Second Copy from Centered Systems. It was shareware, so you could try it for free, and then you pay for it. It's not very expensive. Second Copy. And it's fairly sophisticated sync tool. Sysadmins, Unix types, will use something called rsync, which is a very sophisticated Unix program that only copies the changed files, so it can be used over a slower network. And there are rsync front ends for, you said Windows?
Yeah.
There are rsync front ends for Windows that give you a graphical interface, because rsync is a command line only. On the Macintosh, the tool I use is called ChronoSync. It is a front end for rsync, ChronoSync. And it's really nice. It'll let, you could set timers. You can have it run on a schedule and so forth. So there are a lot of ways to do this. If you look at rsync and Windows, you'll see quite a few programs. I think somebody's mentioned GRSync. There are quite a few programs that give you a front end. rsync is not exactly user friendly, but it's the power tool. So I think frankly, I think second copies from Centered Systems is everything I need. I've used that for years, and and you can set it to watch for a drive, which is what you want. SyncToy won't do this, but I don't think, but second copy will, and it'll say as soon as it sees you plug in that USB drive, it goes, oh yeah, let's update this. And then, you're doing the off-site thing by taking one home and bringing it back. I don't know, but you're not copying your Mac stuff and your Windows stuff at work, right? You don't care about that.
Right, just the Windows stuff.
Just the Windows stuff. So make sure you format anything you're using. Make sure you format it FAT, either FAT32 or exFAT, because Apples can read that and Windows can read that. If you formatted it with the Apple, the Windows machines wouldn't be able to read it.
Okay.
SyncToy hasn't been updated in years, but it's out there and still free. So, and I would still do it on the Mac too, even though it's just your home stuff. A lot of times people say, "Oh, my work stuff's important, but my your home stuff might be important too." And that's ChronoSync is great for that, or Super Duper, which is a little bit different, but Super Duper does a great job too.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of choices for you. We'll put a whole thing in the show notes. James DeRuvo is writing this all down. Hi, James. And there'll be a whole list of things in the show notes that you can use. Glad you asked about that, though. I am, as you know, from our last call, it's still, you'd think this is the most obvious thing, is to protect your data by backing it up. And I would bet still the majority of computer users never back up their data, ever. And, you get away with it for a long time because hard drives are pretty reliable these days. But at some point, you will lose data, and it will be a tragedy. So it's a good idea to think about that a little bit. I think about it all the time. I spend a lot of time thinking about that. My latest solution, which I'm very happy with, it's an expensive solution, but because I use so many computers and devices in my work, I want to have access to my data, a kind of a standard data set all the time. So I use a network-attached storage device that's available over the internet. And that way I can have all my devices synced to a data directory there. So I have copies of every file I need on every computer I use, including my mobile stuff. That's really nice. That's kind of the Cadillac system. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Does General Tab, I know about RoboCopy, does it do, I guess you could set up a schedule to do it. Does it do synchronization, though? Like if you say, is there a command line parameter you can give RoboCopy that says, okay, look at this directory, look at that directory, make sure they match, except do not delete, do not sync deletions, just sync new stuff. I guess you probably could set up RoboCopy to do that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, about 10 minutes away from Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. Chat room's reminding me that there's a little known but really useful Windows command that's been around ever since XP called RoboCopy. It's a command line, so you have to be comfortable with the command line. But the advantage is you have it, and it's free. RoboCopy, I always thought of it as a robust replacement for the disk copy routine, because copying files on Windows has always been horrifically unreliable. RoboCopy has all sorts of features to make it more reliable. It's essentially the old Xcopy, if you're familiar with DOS Xcopy. But so I'll put this in the show notes as well, and I'll link to Microsoft's documentation for RoboCopy. But the trick is, and I always would look for this in any disk synchronization program, synchronizing two folders implies that when one folder changes, those changes are reflected in the other folder. So they're always identical, and that's not what you want for backup. What you want for backup is when a folder changes or new files are added or files are changed in a folder, they're copied, but you don't want to synchronize deletions. So if I throw out something on my hard drive, I still for safety, one of the reasons you have a backup, one of the most useful reasons for have a backup is if you trash something accidentally and you go, oh, wait, I needed that. Now you have it on your backup. So you want to be careful that your synchronization is not synchronizing deletions. Because then if you throw something away, it'll also be thrown away in the backup, and that's no good. So I'm looking. There is a backup mode, a /B backup mode. But I'm going to have to do a little more digging on RoboCopy to make sure that it has a way to synchronize two folders without synchronizing deletions. That's the key, and that's one of the things Second Copy does very well. 8888 ask Leo. That's my phone number. Calvin is on the line from the Motor City, from Detroit. Hello, Calvin.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I have a issue. Recently, they updated Outlook.com, and because they updated it, they then sent out these notices that if you have desktop versions, you have to reconnect to enable syncing.
Oh, man.
So I have multiple computers, different clients, Outlook clients on all of them. So it's pretty painless. You know, you go in, you delete your profile, then reconnect, or you can create a new profile and connect to that one and add the accounts. The problem I have is I have multiple personal folders.
Yeah.
And so when you do this process, it's not updating your folder.
It's not?
No. So
what use is that?
I have to go to each folder and say, okay, sync this folder and update it, which is a pain.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, that is a pain.
I'm trying to figure out, is this just something with Outlook.com? Or
Yeah, so it's probably because Microsoft wants you to use their big boy Exchange server instead of Outlook.com, because Outlook.com is free. Is there an IMAP option? Because that's what IMAP is supposed to do. There's two ways to get mail. There's the old-fashioned POP, Post Office Protocol, which does not propagate folders. It just downloads your mail and disconnects, often deleting mail from the server. But if there's an IMAP interface for Outlook.com, there must be. It should copy the folders. Basically, the way IMAP works is you're duplicating. We were talking about this folder syncing thing. It's kind of like that. You're synchronizing the server and the folders and the mail on the server with your desktop so that all the folders are propagated. But maybe because Outlook.com is the free version of, the big boy program, it doesn't have an IMAP solution. I haven't used it lately.
Yeah, they basically sent everybody, it says, final notice, reconnect Outlook 2016/2013 to Outlook.com for uninterrupted email access.
Yeah, they want to move everybody to the new Microsoft accounts and all of that. There is, I'm looking, Outlook.com does have an IMAP server. So this is what I would do. You're using Outlook, the desktop Outlook, to get your mail?
Yes.
Then I would go into the configuration on it and set up, make sure it's not set up for POP mail, but IMAP mail, and using the IMAP server, imap-mail.outlook.com, port 993 SSL. The outbound is smtp-mail.outlook.com. I'll put a link in the show notes to the settings. Or you could just Google Outlook.com IMAP settings. Make sure you use those settings. That should copy...
When I did the profile, it doesn't ask if you want to do IMAP or POP.
Yeah.
It runs out there and does it for you, so I'd have to use the manual one then.
This may be the old way of doing it. Maybe they've disabled it in the new Outlook.com because, they did this Outlook.com. But these, of course, have to be folders on your mail server, or otherwise they won't propagate. So if you've got folders somewhere else that are not part of it.
These are all at Outlook.com.
You see them on Outlook.com, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, try this IMAP setting. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to, during the next break, I'll see, I use Outlook.com as well. I'll see if I can set it up to use IMAP. If it uses IMAP, check the properties at Outlook.com. If it uses IMAP, you shouldn't have any trouble propagating the whole setup. You've got all the folders, everything in the folders, and all of that. That's really the best way to do email these days.
Okay, thanks, Leo.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it. I'm going to have to check, and if anybody knows if they used to support IMAP. If they turned it off, that would be bad. Maybe Outlook, the desktop Outlook isn't doing it right. That's also possible. Make sure in the settings you're using IMAP. If you should be able to use any third-party email client like Thunderbird or Pegasus or Clause. There's a whole bunch of third-party Windows email clients that support IMAP. If you just want to verify it, that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to set up Thunderbird, the free email client from Mozilla, because I'm using Linux. I don't have Outlook on it. I'll set up Thunderbird with the IMAP settings for Outlook, and it should just download not only the mail, but the folders, the whole organizational structure you set up. That's what you want. I'm not crazy about Outlook as a desktop client. Maybe that's part of the problem. Ryan, Anaheim. Hi, Ryan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? I see you have one of my favorite phones of last year, the Axon 7.
That is correct.
Isn't it beautiful?
I actually got a great price on it, actually, too. I got it for less than $300.
Yeah. The Axon was one of several phones that came out last year that were half the price of the flagship phones, and really just as good. The nice thing about the Axon is the sound. It's got the front-facing speakers, excellent sound quality. It really is a wonderful phone for sound.
The battery life is crazy on this. It lasts for days. It charges from like 13% to 100 in less than 30 minutes.
It was my favorite inexpensive Android phone of the year. Absolutely.
I actually had a question, though, because I like this phone, but then I'm also interested in the HTC U Ultra, which is coming out in March.
Yeah.
Because I went from the M7, the HTC M7, to the ZTE, and then I wish I would have known about the Ultra because I would have got that, too. But then I also want to let you know that I wasn't know if you're aware of this.
Hang on. We got to take a break, and we've got the photo guy coming up, Chris Marquardt. But I'll get back to you right after, okay? So don't go anywhere. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Always nervous about HTC because I love their phones. I loved the one, and then they've been struggling. I'm very tempted. What makes you like the U? Why are you interested in the U? Are you an HTC fan? Is that it?
I'm not crazy about that.
Oh, are you still there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh yeah. Why the U?
Well, because I like the M7 like a lot. I really enjoyed it. And it just basically went to a brick, like you always say. It's a brick phone. The battery died. It does not work for anything. And then I got the Axon, and then I noticed the HTC U. I wanted to get your opinion because the Axon's good, but I also like the HTC because I've always liked the M7.
Me too. And now this looks on paper, and that's the problem, is on paper, really impressive. I love this new sonic analyzer. This is one of the things I loved about Samsung's is they would give you a little hearing test, and then change the sound curve to match your hearing. This does this kind of automatically. Again, it's on paper though, so I haven't used it, so I don't know.
I feel bad for one of my best friends. He actually had the Note 7.
Oh, I did too. I was so sad. Yeah.
He returned the phone and he had the S6, and within the same day he cracked his X6.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing that's interesting, and I don't know how useful this is to be, but it has a second screen, a little bar on the top that has additional information, which makes it, this could be gimmicky, probably is. The thing I was not crazy about the last few HTC phones is their cameras.
Yeah, that's the problem I had with the camera. It's the blur part and the little, the purple, and that's why I wanted to see, because it's not even the $749 for the new one, but it's like, am I going to have the problem with the camera again? That was my only problem with the M7 was the camera. It sucked. It was not good at all.
I know, and frankly, the Axon isn't great either. The Pixel is so much better.
Actually, I was in San Francisco last week, and I took pictures off the bridge with the Axon.
Yeah,
the pictures were just incredible.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
I also love how that feels in the hand. It reminded me a lot of the HTC One in my hand. It was solid. It just felt good and looked good, and I love front-facing speakers. All right, well, you know what? I'm going to pre-order this HTC U, and when it comes out, I'll let you know.
Are you gonna get it in blue?
God, that's
the one I had, the HTC M7 Blue. That's the one I preferred, and that's the one I would get versus the black.
Yeah, I'm so bored with black, right? Yeah, I'll get the blue. Sure, I'll get the blue.
You don't want to get your rose gold like you did for the iPhone 7.
No, I got a rose gold Axon 7, though, and I like it. It's pretty. All right, I'll pre-order this, $750, shipping in mid-March. And I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll get the blue.
All right, good.
It's Type C, right? That's good. Oh, does it have a headphone jack? It must have a headphone jack. I don't know.
It better have a headphone jack.
That makes me crazy.
That's another brick phone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Apple, for screwing us.
Yeah, they did.
My friend, adapter. It looks. You know what? It looks like it does not have a headphone jack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man!
That's the problem.
They're selling an adapter that goes with a USB connector. Oh.
That's the problem. It's $749. You get a dongle.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
You don't want to be that guy.
That drives me nuts. No headphone jack. Why? HTC does this every time they shoot themselves in the foot. Every time.
Right.
No wonder they're struggling. I got to run. I'll tell you what. Thank you, and I'll let you know when it comes out. I'll get one just to give you a review. Okay?
Yeah. So thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah. All right, Chris, get ready. I think I have a phone call for you, maybe. Somebody wants to ask
You have a phone call?
Well, somebody wants to ask a camera question.
Why not?
Why not? Right?
Why not?
Mama, don't take my Kodachrome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If I hear that music, that must mean one thing. Chris Marquardt is here, our photo guy. Chris is both a film and digital photographer who leads great photo workshops you'll find at discoverthetopfloor.com and joins us every week to give us photo tips. I got some bad news yesterday.
What?
We were talking about Kodak bringing back Ektachrome, the slide film. And I didn't know this, but I guess that's what National Geographic had standardized on for years. So that's a pretty good endorsement. But I was holding out for Kodachrome.
Yeah, no. They kind of hinted that they were looking at it, but then I think they had an official statement that's probably too hard. You remember you had to send Kodachrome in. You couldn't do it in the corner lab. You had to send it in because the development of Kodachrome was it's a huge machinery and very, very, very finicky chemistry. You have to have a guy who's actually there for the chemistry to keep it up to speed, and that is a very complicated process, and I think you don't even get all the chemicals nowadays, so bringing that back would have been nice, but I don't think the amount of film that's being shot these days actually justifies doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, as it stands, there's nowhere in the world that can develop Kodachrome film.
Well, there's one guy that I just read about.
Some guy does it. Okay, good.
Yes, some guy who developed a system to color develop Kodachrome, but it's not the real colors. But it is possible, and there needs to be more work done. But some people in the garages are actually working on it.
Wow. Oh well. Well, let's talk photography. What do you got for us this week?
Well, I'm in the process of preparing for my Siberia trip in about 3 to 4 weeks. And I was just thinking about shooting in the cold. And in at least some places right now, it is pretty cold. So I wanted to talk about 3 things. The actual shooting in the cold, what that means for your camera, and how to deal with, precipitation when it's cold. So first of all, what to shoot. If you go out and you have snow, and we have snow right now, there are a lot of beautiful minimal kind of shots that you can get with very strong contrasts between the foreground and the snow in the background. You can go for shapes, you can go for silhouettes, you can experiment a lot. So as I said last week, bad weather is not a reason to stay indoors when you have a camera. Go out and play with it. What we'll see in a few weeks in Siberia is lots of ice. We'll be on the frozen Lake Baikal, and there will be lots of sheets of ice and things. So there's lots of interesting translucency things going on. Play with light shining through that. Sometimes you can even use some of that ice like a lens, making patterns of light on other things. So that's just a few things to experiment with. When you shoot out in the snow, it's really important to understand what your camera is going to do with the exposure. It means the camera will exposed too low because it sees so much light that it closes down its aperture or makes the shutter speed shorter. So the trick to kind of get wider shots in snow is to use what's called exposure compensation and just dial that to +1 or +2 in snow when if your shots turn out too dark. That's kind of the trick, exposure compensation. Now, here's one thing, and I get this question a lot, is how cold can I actually use my camera? How cold can it be? When does the camera get damaged? And if you look in the spec sheets of the manufacturers, they will often spec it to somewhere between 0 and 40 Celsius. It's like 32 to 104 Fahrenheit when in operation. And yes, of course, I think they have a point, but I think they're also kind of hedging their bets a bit. They're trying to be on the safe side. They don't want any claims or damages. So, because I've shot way lower than the freezing point. That's what they recommend, but I've shot at, I don't know, -25 Celsius. That's like -15 Fahrenheit.
Do you get any battery life at that temperature, though, right?
Well, battery life is a completely different issue, but just the camera itself and the way it I don't know, the lubricants in the camera might get a bit slower. Things might kind of freeze up a bit. But that has never happened with any camera, entry-level cameras, professional cameras, all sorts of cameras. So I kind of try to push that a bit. And I've shot at the lower and the higher end of that and beyond, and never really got into a problem. But of course, they tell you 0 to 40 Celsius or 32 to 104 Fahrenheit. Then if you go way below that, it's kind of a bit of on your own risk, I would say. Batteries are actually an issue. Yes, they like it warm. You can do an easy test, a simple test. Just put your camera battery in the fridge and then take it out and take shots with it. And you'll see how quickly it'll lose power. And that's why I usually keep a spare battery in my
or you
pocket.
could just, before you take your pictures, you keep your battery in a pocket inside your
and
coat,
an inside pocket.
And then just pop
of
it
your
out,
coat.
take the pictures, and put it back in.
I've seen photographers actually putting their cameras on tripods in really, really cold conditions. And when some of them would put, these warming pads that you can put in your shoes or in your pocket, they would actually glue those or stick those around the battery grip.
That might
of
get
your
too
camera.
hot.
And no, not really. If it's -15 Fahrenheit outside,
I guess not. Right.
One of those will be probably just right. So just as an idea.
I also worry about. I think this might be the biggest problem: going from warm to cold. The sudden change in temperature. If you're inside a vehicle and you get outside, it's really cold. Don't you have condensation then?
Liquids, there's certain things that you might think about, and it's not the problem going from the warm to the cold, it's from the cold to the warm.
That's to warm, okay.
When your camera is cold and you go into the warm, and the warm holds more humidity, so the water starts condensing on your camera. That will add a bit of a layer of condensation on the outside of your camera. I've had this coming in from the outside, going into a greenhouse, and then there's more humidity, and the camera fogged up really bad. And it took about 20 minutes for the camera to kind of warm up. I've never really seen any damage to a camera from that. But one thing I keep in my pocket all the time now is a microfiber cloth. One of these bigger microfiber cloths that you get that they would use in the kitchen. You get a 5-pack for just a few bucks, and those are excellent to wipe down the camera. And even if it gets snowed on and you get some water on the lens, that is perfect to wipe that off. And it usually takes a lot of water.
Okay, here's a crazy idea. This should work. You have a Ziploc bag with you before you go into the warm air. You put the camera in a Ziploc bag and you seal it. Now, the camera is sealed in with dry air. You bring it in. It's going to have a chance to warm up, but there won't be any condensation because the air around it is dry because it's sealed, right?
That is not a crazy idea at all. Yes, definitely would work.
I just invented that.
Do that? No, you didn't invent that.
I didn't invent it? Oh, okay.
No, you were not the first to try that. It does work, but here's a tip. Before you put that camera in the Ziploc bag, take the memory card out, because you might not want to wait an hour to look at your photos
take
when you
the
go
card,
inside.
seal the
Take the
camera,
card,
go
seal the
inside.
camera.
You've got your photos. The card's not going to be damaged by the sudden change in temperature. There you go.
Well, the issue with that is you will have kind of an air cushion around your camera, which will be an insulation layer. So it will take a bit longer for the camera to warm up. You might have, instead of half an hour with the camera out, you might have to wait an hour with the camera in the bag. But hey, if you have time, if you want to work on photos anyway, that's a good way to do it.
Dr. Mom says put a desiccant in the bag. That's a thing that sucks moisture out of the air. That'll even do better.
Yeah, you can do that too. Little bags of silica gel.
See, he's brilliant. Chris Marquardt. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. And of course, photographers have a lot of those bags. Everything comes with them. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this.
You're out.
Problem with those bags is, of course, as soon as you expose them in the air, they go whoosh, and they suck all the moisture out. So you have to bake them.
You can refresh them in the oven.
Yeah, very low temperature, but just enough to evaporate the water off, and then
you can also
put them in something sealed.
And if you don't want to collect them from all the camera bags that you buy, you just go and get them online. You get like a bag of 100 of those little bags.
Really? Yeah, they're cheap probably.
On Amazon or eBay or something.
Yeah. Nice.
Sure.
Nice.
Sure.
Nice. Good tips.
So I'll be traveling in 1, 2, 3. Starting in 4 weeks, I will be gone for 3 weeks.
I'll take it myself after. So which days are you going? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm gone on the 26th and the 5th. I think I should be back on the 12th.
Do you want to pre-record
too? That would make perfect sense. So I'll be here for another 3 Sundays.
Okay.
If you want to do this or sometime during the week,
next Sunday. Let's just do it after the show. If you don't mind. Is that too late for you?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just fine.
We'll do it after the show.
What is after the show? Is it
2 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Pacific. So what's that, 10 or 11 p.m. your time? Are you 9 hours?
No problem.
What time is it now?
It's 11. It's 11. That's pretty much the time that I wake up,
11 p.m.? Okay.
That's the time when I'm most productive.
Are you a vampire?
I get an owl, a night owl.
A night owl.
Yes.
Cool. And what was the assignment again? I didn't mention the assignment.
Break. We're still doing the break assignment.
All right, good.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Talk to you again
great
next
evening.
week.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
I don't have the right phone with me, so I can't order this phone, this HTC. I popped up my PayPal request for a code, and I thought it might come through on my messages, but it didn't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. So I talked with Ryan a little more off the air, and he's convinced me I'll pre-order the HTC U and give HTC another shot. We're waiting for the next crop of phones already. Seems like we just, we got the new iPhone in September. We got the Google Pixel phones. But we're due for a new round from Samsung, for instance. And I'm told Samsung will announce its new S8. And we've already seen some very good quality leaked images of the S8 in the spring, available in April. They're going to keep doing a Note. They say we're not changing the name. We're going to do the new Note 8, I guess. And that will be out, I presume, Samsung hasn't said, but I'm going to guess in the fall. That's when the Notes are usually announced. I got to say, I'm less interested in Samsung than I've been in years past, and not because of the Note 7 fiasco, but because Google has delivered such a good phone. I'm not talking to you, Google. It's Google saying, yeah, what? What do you want? What do you want? Google has delivered such a good phone with the Pixel. And the nice thing about getting your Android device from Google is it's always kept up to date. All the patches immediately. Samsung says we're going to do all the patches, but there's always a little lag as they make sure they work with this, customization that Samsung does. So, for your benefit, I will buy, of course, the new crop of phones, the HTC, the Samsung. We're going to see a new LG phone. at least a couple of them, the HTC U and the LG, don't have headphone jacks. Although the leaked images, I'm glad to say, of the Samsung S8 show a headphone jack. People are slavishly copying Apple. Apple eliminated the headphone jack, saying it took great courage to do this, but we're nothing if not courageous. And of course, they happen to be, I'm sure it's just a coincidence, the number one seller of Bluetooth headphones in the world through their Beats division. Couldn't possibly have anything to do with that. But honestly, I like having a headphone jack. I want a headphone jack. I like wired headphones. I don't understand. I just don't understand. So HTC, though, is also eliminating the headphone jack, and apparently LG will as well. I guess that means wireless headphones for us, right? Back to the phones we go, and Brian on the line from Santa Clarita, California. And a question probably I should have got Chris Marquardt on, but I'm also an avid photographer, so I probably can help you with this too. Hi, how you doing? Welcome, Brian.
Very good. Thank you, Leo. I had a photography question that I've never heard you and Chris talk about. And that is one of the bugaboos that I always have when I take a long European cruise. We did a cruise very similar to the one you did last year.
The Baltic?
A Danube River cruise.
Oh, wonderful. Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's awesome. We started in Prague, go all the way through Germany, Austria, Slovakia.
I have become an avid fan of riverboat cruising. It's slower. It's more relaxing. You see a different side of the country than you would see on an ocean cruise. I just really enjoyed it.
I totally enjoyed it. And the one thing I didn't realize that I would enjoy is the nighttime cruising. You usually are cruising at night.
Yeah.
And you're usually along rivers that are well lit.
If you haven't seen Budapest from the river at night, you haven't seen nothing.
One of the greatest sights ever.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Budapest, one of the greatest cities.
I agree.
The most picturesque cities in the world.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
Anyway, my question has to do with information management as you're taking pictures. I've never heard you guys talk about this, but it's a bugaboo for me because a lot of times we'll either hire a tour guide or have a situation where I have to take a lot of notes on the pictures that I'm taking. I mean, I got my Canon 5D around my neck, and I got a bag, and I've got other stuff. And I find that I would love to have an app or some solution for taking detailed notes while I'm taking pictures. And I don't really know how to do that. I mean, I've pulled out just a notepad and paper, but it just seems so 1973. And I've often wondered, I mean, a lot of times we'll be on a tour guide, a tour situation where you can't talk over the tour guide. So the idea of talking.
Yeah, so my first suggestion would be to start the video recorder. Just briefly press the record button, the 5D. There's got a little button to do that, and whisper. And I just took a picture of the Parliament building as we floated down. And you might even have a little video there as a result. But you're right. If there's somebody you could whisper into it. That microphone's right there.
Well, the bigger picture issue is, at the end of the day, when your trip is done, I had 8,000 pictures that I have to now. It becomes an entire project to go back and figure out what I took, and I'd like to take detailed information. A lot of times you find out information on your own or from somebody else, and it's just stuff that you find out immediately. You got to write it down immediately, or you're never going to remember it. And that, to me, is the big fun part of taking a trip.
Yeah.
And
the last thing I want to do though is pull out a pencil and pad. That's gonna take my eye away from what's going on. But now, what do you remember? You're getting a ton of information from GPS and the EXIF already, because and if you use Google Photos, for instance, you inspired me, and I just went to Google Photos, typed in Budapest, and there's all my Budapest photos. That's about as easy as can be. What else would you like to record? I mean,
I guess it comes down to the minutia, the little details that is not something you're going to be able to go back and look at on a Wikipedia page that reminds you of what it is that you shot.
You want a travel journal a little bit then.
Yeah, it's kind of like is there such a thing as a way to take more detailed notes and information without having to pull out a pad and look like Joe Reporter?
Yeah. Well, I would guess, unfortunately, I let Chris Marquardt go before we got you on, and I don't know what Chris does. And frankly, I don't, because it's bad enough that I've got all this camera gear and I'm fiddling with that instead of watching the beautiful scenery. Fortunately, I'm very fortunate. My wife is also a photo bug, so I don't get the elbow and the ribs, because she's also doing, we're both going snap, snap, snap. But I would, and I haven't done this, but I'm going to try it next time. On most cameras now, there's an easy button, very, conveniently located, and the microphone is right on the top there, where you just press the video record button, and you could, if you hold the camera and you get a little video, which is really nice to have, by the way, it's a little 6-second or short video to mix in with the stills, just brings it to life, and you can narrate it a little bit. I think that might be kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you happen to know what, like, photojournalists of today, like newspaper photographers, what do they use?
For years, of course, and the people who mostly did this were people who were, for instance, doing time exposures. I know my friend John, who loves doing star field pictures at night in the desert, right? He's recording, because he was a film photographer. With film, you don't know what the settings on the camera were. You do with a digital camera. That's all built into the photograph. But he got in the habit of using a photographer's logbook and logging, f-stop and shutter speed and location and all of that. But most of that stuff's stored in the photo now. So, I don't think a photographer's logbook is quite the right answer either. I agree with you. Who wants to start writing this stuff down? There may be apps you could use with your phone if you kept your headphone in one ear from your phone, and that you could, quickly record. I use Just Press Record on the iPhone, which is great with the Apple Watch. If you didn't want to do it in your camera, Just Press Record puts a button on the Apple Watch. You press, and it records audio. You're talking to your watch a little bit, very surreptitiously, and then you press it again. And it saves that all to your iPhone. That would be another way to do it. I mean, really, if you're not writing it, you're going to have to speak it.
Well, how do you get done with a vacation and have 10,000 photos and catalog it at the end?
I'm terrible.
What do you do?
But now Chris does have, and I highly recommend, and I think you can get it for free if you sign up for his newsletter at discoverthetopfloor.com, a wonderful video called 1,000 Photos in 1 Hour that describes his post workflow. He comes home after a day on the river, on the beautiful Danube, and he comes home and he takes all the photos, and he can go through 1,000 photos an hour quickly. I guess the best way to describe it is photo triage, eliminating ones he knows he's not going to ever want, ranking the rest. And, when you're doing that on a regular basis, you'll save them in a folder that says, this was our boat trip down the Danube, as we went through Budapest. And so there will be a folder. That's a great solution. So I highly recommend that. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. Chris at least was, and I bet you he still is, giving it away. All you have to do is sign up for his newsletter, which is well worth it. And you get this great download, 1,000 photos in an hour, and I highly recommend it. And it includes, kind of keeping track of what those photos were. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
I like the idea of recording video, though, with audio. I like that idea. Do you use an iPhone? Yeah.
I never thought about that. I just it was the clunkiness factor that I was trying to avoid.
Well, somebody's saying that the pros who use Canon 1Ds, for instance, which is the very fancy Canon, that has an audio memo feature. So apparently that's how the pros do it, is they record it right on the camera. That would be a nice feature of new cameras, is an audio memo feature. But failing that, press the video record button. And whether you point it at something or not, you're going to get some. You can record some audio. You can whisper.
Wow. So, do you think newspaper photographers are doing that these days? I just don't know how they.
I think they're satisfied when they shoot. They know where, because the EXIF information gives them exactly where that photo was shot. So I think the key is, and this is one of the things Chris talks about, reviewing those photos immediately. My problem is I take 6,000 photos and I don't look at them till I get home, and even then I sometimes don't, because it's like daunting.
Yeah, and then picture taking becomes an entire assignment.
By the time I do look at them, I go, I don't know what that's a picture of. So I think the key, and my wife does this, and I'm very impressed with her. When we're traveling, that's what she does in the evenings. She'll offload the photographs, go through them all, pick the 2 or 3 that she really likes, and upload them to her blog so that she has a record of them. And I think Chris's triage system is very good and will help you because it will be the day you took those photos, so you could take some notes then. I would guess that's what photojournalists do. They get back from a protest or whatever, and they make immediate notes rather than trying to do it while they're shooting, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm like you. At the end of a day, and I'm in Rome, I don't want to be sitting there.
I know.
3 hours.
I want to have a little Campari and soda. That's it. I'm done. But she's got great discipline, and it does work for her. I mean, and I'm thrilled she does it because we have, in effect, great photojournals from her. I have all my photos. I was just, I was going through on the computer my pictures of Budapest. I've got 80 pictures of the Parliament building as I go by because I guess I just couldn't keep my finger off the button. They're mostly identical, and had I done Chris's method, I wouldn't have so many of the same shot. I would have picked the best one of each of these, but I've never done that. I've never done the triage.
Based on the fact that your wife does the same thing that I've had to do, I guess there is no real great solution.
You got to do the work. Yeah, you got to do the work.
Yeah. So,
but
anyway,
you know what? I do highly recommend Google Photos as a backup. I know they're not the raw, they're not the full quality, but boy, the fact that you can search for a person or a place or a person in a place really helps. Because you say, I know I took a great photo of my wife as we were cruising down the Danube, but you could search for Lisa and Danube, and you can literally find all those pictures.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, thanks, Leo.
My pleasure. Great to talk to you. When's your next trip?
We're doing the Mekong River Delta.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go to Vietnam so bad.
Yeah.
So you're doing a river cruise again?
Well, my niece is a tour book person with one of the riverboat cruise liners.
Oh.
So we get like 50% off.
Oh. Yeah, I want to do Vietnam. I want to do China. We're doing France this fall. We're going to do the Monaco to Paris trip. And that will be really fun. That's up the Saône. And we go to Chateau Neuf de Pape, we go to Côte de Rhône and the Loire Valley. It's going to be I'm really looking forward to that.
I didn't realize river cruises would be that much fun. I like them so much more than ocean cruises.
It took me a while because there's so much less to do. But then I got into it, and it was very relaxing. It's really about travel, and I really like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which cruise line do you go on? Is it Viking or?
No, it's Amma Waterways.
Oh, I know Amma. Ammas are great, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic. I think they're the best. And she just happens to work for them. She's their group tour guide director.
Luck out.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. We'll have a wonderful time in Vietnam. That's fantastic.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, I think there's no shortcut, right? I think what you really have to do is the post-shooting triage. Oh, I know, Dr. Mum, and I haven't had time to go through your pictures yet. She just got back from Antarctica, and I can't wait to see. Are they all up now? Because when I checked, they hadn't yet processed, I guess, or there were only a handful had. Lillian, you've lost so much weight. You look so great. That is good for you. Wow. I'm so proud of you. But I don't see, I'm looking through your photos. Do you have an album, or are they just... Oh, here they are. Ooh, videos too. Cool. This one is my favorite. Can I show them online on the air? Is that okay? But I do like this one. That's awesome. Oh, here's a little slideshow. Ponant. It was Tauk. Oh, good. Tauk's the way to go, I think, huh? Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, All that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area. Somebody was in the chat room saying, what's the Skype handle? You don't call Skype. You call that phone number using Skype out. 888. It's toll free, so it won't cost you anything. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada and outside that area. Use Skype. Vicky in Los Angeles is next. Hi, Vicky. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Vicky.
Hello.
Well, I guess I got your name wrong. Is it Vic?
Yes.
Sorry, Vic. Hi, Vic.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Fantastic.
And I had a quick question for you about the VSpace server by N Computing. I have a number of Think clients on the local area network. I use VSpace server to monitor the sessions, and everything works fine that way. Then we have to open an off-site location, and I have a VPN gateway with the off-site location. Now I can go using the Thin clients from the off-site location with a subnet mask like 192.168.20.40, but I can't get it to see the VSpace manager, where you can see all the different sessions running.
Yeah, well, 192 is not routable, so that wouldn't work over the internet. Is the VSpace manager not local to you? Is it over the internet?
No, it's over the internet, but you can ping the 192 addresses. You can actually...
Yeah, no, you can't ping a 192 address over the internet. You're not getting that server unless VSpace is opening a VPN to that server.
No, I've already actually put a gateway-to-gateway VPN.
Oh, okay. So you're in effect local, even though that server is geographically not in your premises.
Exactly.
You're in the network there. Okay, that's why 192 works. You can't. There's certain routing addresses, 10. and 192.168, that will not route over the internet. They're for local use only. But you've solved that with a VPN.
Class C networks, yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly why it's not working. I think it's a little out of my pay grade, I'm afraid. I'm not an expert on the VSpace server solution. Are you saying even though you can ping the computers, you can't get in them, you can't address them?
Right. I can ping either 192 top address through the gateway. I can remote desktop into all of them. VSpace server has got this beautiful session management thing where you can see everybody's sessions and take over in case they're having trouble and help them without having to go there physically. So that's my problem, is being able to do it through the VPN. Their manager sees both servers, everything sees everything, but they just can't go into the management session where you can see all the different sessions running. And the problem is I can't divide the subnet because I have more than 128 devices on one network.
Wow. Well, that's a big network. Are you doing this in education? What are you doing?
No, this is a clinic.
A clinic, okay.
A primary health clinic.
You know, I'm afraid I am not going to be any help to you at all. The chat room might have some ideas, and I'll keep an eye there and mention it. But I think probably this would be a better question to call N Computing, the makers of VSpace, and ask them about. I'm not familiar enough with the workings of it to be able to give you a useful answer. You're obviously past the firewall because you're in the network. So I don't know. Chat room might have some help for you. irc.twit.tv. Sorry, Vic. I'm not an expert in this particular field. I'm not a computer expert. I just play one on the radio. Kenny, Missouri, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Kenny.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
What's up?
I had a question about Sonos. I was looking to buy the new Sonos with the Echo built inside, I guess you could say, and I wonder if it was still good to buy one. I know.
Well, they don't have the Echo interface yet. They said they'll do it this year. I'm waiting because I have a ton of Sonos. Sonos is a great but expensive solution for putting music in every room. The Sonos speakers are wirelessly connected, so you can control them with your smartphone or your tablet and say, play different things on each speaker system or play the same thing on all of them. And the thing that Sonos does better than anybody, as far as I'm concerned, is that party mode where all of the speakers all over your house, even outside, are playing the same song. And if you try it on any other system, it's going to sound echoey and weird because the systems aren't synchronized. But somehow, Sonos does some magic, and it just makes the whole house full of music with no echo, no lag, the same song. You move from room to room. It's seamless, and that's where Sonos is amazing. Now, they promised, and this is Sonos, the founder and CEO resigned. They've got a new man running it. Sonos kind of missed the boat on Echo and these, speech systems. They knew they were going to be important. They didn't know how important. And everybody who has an Echo now uses it to play music. I mean, that's one of the best features of being able to talk to your house and say, hey, I'd like to listen to some Kenny Chesney right now. And boom, it plays. There is promised a way to do that with the Sonos. I've even seen videos where, it says, hey, play Kenny Chesney in my living room Sonos, or play Bach's Mass in B minor on my bedroom speakers. And that would be awesome. And I look forward to it. Not out yet. And I don't think you need to buy the new Sonos to do this. I think their promise was it would work on all Sonos systems. It should be awesome.
I was going to look for it.
Yeah, it should be awesome, but it's not there yet. So, the way Sonos gets you is you get one, right? It's a pretty good speaker. Plays internet radio, internet music, ties in with your Spotify or your Google Play or your Amazon or all the different kinds of music. And then once you get one, then you get two, then you get three, then you get four. And by then you've spent thousands of dollars and you're all in on Sonos. The minute they do the Echo integration, I will be thrilled and I'll tell you about it. Right now, it's not great because even though the Sonos speakers have an auxiliary jack on the back that you could connect a Echo or a Dot to, you have to go into the Sonos app and say, play whatever's coming in over the auxiliary jack. And, it's still too manual. I want to be able to talk to the Echo and say, play some music on my Sonos. That's what you're looking for, I presume, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Not out yet. Believe me, I'll shout with joy the minute it is. So, and I think there's some concern. Some people are saying, well, this latest CEO drama, does this mean Sonos is in trouble? I don't see evidence of that. They had almost $1 billion in revenue last year. That's amazing for a speaker system that's hundreds of dollars just to get started. I still recommend it. I do think that eventually Google and maybe even Amazon will come up with competing solutions. In fact, the cheap way to go right now, if you have powered speakers, is to get a Comcast audio connected up to the speaker, and then you can use the Chromecast to set the speakers. That works fine if you're doing different songs in different rooms. They say that they have this party mode as well. I haven't used it. I would be surprised if it worked well. But, if you didn't have Echo, I'll have to ask. See, anybody in the chat room, has anybody done party mode on your Chromecast audio? Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
I have Chromecast audio all over the place. I really am. I should have given it a try. Should have given it a try. Sonos, you see, the reason Sonos works so well is they have their own proprietary mesh network. They use your Wi-Fi to connect to each other, but then they use their own network, and they've done some synchronization stuff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Jill in Northridge is next. Hi, Jill. Thanks for hanging on.
Thank you, Leo, for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I am looking for an application I can download on my not iPhone, Android phone.
Okay.
Where I could record myself playing a few different instruments and then play them all together.
Oh, you know why there is a dearth of applications to do that on Android? There's a massive flaw in Android that causes latency in music playback and recording.
Oh, no.
So you'll see a dozen applications that'll do this on an iPad or an iPhone, because iPhone doesn't have this latency, but there is I think it's a bug actually that goes down to the Linux kernel, believe it or not. And that's why it's not been eliminated yet. And the problem is it doesn't, for this specific application, it's a problem. If you're listening to music, you don't care if there's a 10 millisecond delay.
Right.
But if you're recording, listening back to music, and you're off a beat, it's not going to sound good, is it?
No, it doesn't. It'll sound like chopsticks.
Yeah.
And the band director that showed me on his phone, which is an iPhone.
It works great on an iPhone. It doesn't have that latency. Can you believe that? Isn't that ridiculous?
That is.
And I'm sure that they're trying to figure it out and trying to solve it. But the problem is it's in the kernel. It's only a 10 millisecond latency. But when you add all the devices together and so forth, it can get up to a fifth of a second or a quarter of a second. And at that point, it's just unusable. There's a good article on this that opened my eyes to it at superpowered.com. Android Audio's 10 millisecond problem. It explains it, and I'm afraid there are some improvements in the latest versions of Android, but I think that's kept those applications from emerging just because nobody.
My second thought hearing that, and I totally don't agree. I mean, don't approve.
Yeah, that'd be a problem. Yeah,
is if I were to allow, say, 10, however many, let's say 30 seconds of time before any instrument were to start.
Right.
Is it within the?
You should be able to adjust it, right?
That's what I'm thinking. In my head, I'm thinking it might work. I saw a lot of things, but what I would like to see audio and visual. Do you have an app that may not link up as well as an iPhone, but anything you might recommend for that?
So you want to do video too? Is that what you mean? Or
yeah, I would. I want to use it as a teaching tool so they can actually see.
Yeah.
And that's where I was having an issue with. I couldn't find something that has both.
So, yeah, I mean, you see that on YouTube all the time, right? Somebody will record themselves on the recorder playing a song, and then they'll have a box open up with them doing the banjo, and then another box opening up, and they're playing the drums. And by the time there's done, there's 9 boxes of them playing 9 different instruments, and they've got a whole song. It's a common YouTube meme.
3 or 4 tracks is 4 or 5 tracks is all I'm looking for.
Well, there are so I don't know about multi-video track, but there are multi-audio track recorders for Android. Whether they solve this audio latency issue is another matter. I don't think they do. And as for video, what you're probably going to want to use is a video program. See, on the Mac, on the iPhone rather, you use GarageBand and iMovie, and this would work perfectly. iMovie would allow you to record the video. If you don't mind, let's see. You're going to record each track separately. So what you have to do is get the playback going, right?
Correct.
So, so that's not a big deal. I mean, you're going to use anything that will record video, and you're going to record the person. You have to do playback somehow. I would say on a separate device from the recording, right? So. Okay, track 1 you lay down. You just use a video recorder. You lay down me playing the banjo. and then you're going to now put that on an iPad or an Android tablet or something and play it back. And you're going to use your video recorder and record me now playing the drums while I'm listening to the audio. Now, then you don't care about latency because you're not multi-tracking it at all. yet. You're just recording separate video streams, listening to the audio playback. Each time you record a new stream, you go back in the video editor, you add this track, you manually sync it up, so latency is not an issue. One way we do that, it's the in movies they have a clapper, right? They have that thing with a clack and take two, scene one, click. If poor man's way of doing that is just clapping at the beginning of it. It's very easy to synchronize the video and the audio if you've got a clap. So you do that. So you before you start the banjo, you go, okay, take one, banjo. And you slap your hands together, you clap, start playing it. Now you record that, you put that down, you put that in your video editor, you add another track, add another track, add another track. And each time you're synchronizing all the claps. And then latency is not an issue because the playback is independent of the recording.
Exactly.
So the only time it becomes an issue on Android is if you're using, there's those devices. I love watching musicians use loopers, right? Where they'll go, and they'll record that and it plays over and over, and then they add another loop and another loop and another loop. But to do that, you have to have zero latency in the playback, and that's where Android fails. But what you want to do, you can totally do that.
Right. There's no way I can do it with just my phone, though. I have to go.
Yeah, you need two devices, I think. You need a record device and a playback device. You need two phones.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's an interesting problem. You're a music teacher, right?
I'm an assistant director, yes. Yes, sir.
That's neat.
Middle school.
Perfect. See, middle schoolers, you need something like this to get them engaged. And then they're going to really get excited, right? Look what we made. They can bring it home.
Right.
I think I love that idea.
Well, thank you, sir, for your help. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you for teaching. Especially teaching middle school.
I love them. That's great.
You're very brave, Jill. But I'll tell you what, you're making a huge difference. Teachers are so important. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Yeah, I mean, you could totally do this with anything that would record video and anything that would play back. You could even use well, I guess, once you record the video, you got to play it back. So your Android phone would be good for that, for the playback. You probably don't want to edit video on an Android. You probably want to do that on a computer. Who is the musician? Low-Tech's talking about it. She's wonderful. Is it Imogen Heap? Somebody does that. Yeah, it is Imogen Heap. She's just amazing. Where if you could find her on YouTube doing it, she'll build an entire song, just one little bit at a time. Lovely. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Of course, if you have a better idea, you can go to the website and add your comment, techguylabs.com, or you can call us or visit us in the chat room at irc.twit.tv. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Imogen Heap. Imogen. Is it Imogen or Imogene? It's spelled Imogen. It's got to be Imogene, though, right? Imogene. Hey, Imogene. She's the one who's, she's very techie. She's the one who's distributing her records now using blockchain. So she's got a pedal that she hits to record and then to stop recording and can loop it in. So watch, she'll stop clapping, but it'll keep playing. It's Avid, really. Pro Tools on an Avid board. Yeah, that makes sense. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're actually listening to Imogen Heap, who is a very talented recording artist. You may know her name, but she uses one of those loop pedals to do exactly the kind of thing Jill, our music teacher, was talking about, with laying down a track. This is all her. In fact, she does it live. She builds the whole song live, laying down bits and pieces, recording it and adding it in and looping. It's really cool using a loop pedal. You could see this video and a bunch of them on YouTube if you search for Imogen Heap, H-E-A-P, and loop pedal. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. David is in Anaheim, California. Our next call. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
Oh, my pleasure. I have a question.
Yes.
I was thinking about buying a Bluetooth headphone.
Mm-hmm.
I currently have some really good both quiet sound, and I was just curious because they make those Bluetooth adapters for wired headphones. If that would be an alternate route that's somewhat comparable to just a regular wireless headset.
Yeah, it would be if you're not an audiophile. So the reason is Bluetooth doesn't have as much bandwidth as a wired connection, obviously. There is a Bluetooth stereo sound profile, A2DP, but it inevitably, in order to get all of the sound down that wireless pipe, it has to compress it. So in my opinion, every Bluetooth headset I've used, every headphone, and it would be the same even if you're using great headphones with a Bluetooth adapter, is a little compressed, a little clunky. It doesn't sound as good as the music would if you were using it wired. So you're gonna love, you love your quiet comforts and you love that sound. You might be, you may not be. Some people, don't care or they don't have the hearing to notice the difference. I do, and my hearing's not great. But you might be a little disappointed when you plug it into that Bluetooth adapter. But yeah, there are Bluetooth adapters that will Bluetoothize any wired headphone. Now, there is a new technology coming. Some things already have it. The Macintosh laptops, the new ones have it. Sadly, the iPhone does not. Called aptX, APTX. That's the sequel or successor to A2DP. It is a new Bluetooth technology. You can find out more at aptx.com that they say is better audio. Now, I haven't been able to try it yet. I don't have any aptX headphones. Both ends have to be aptX compliant. So you have to have a device that creates an app, a Bluetooth sending device that is aptX and a Bluetooth receiving device, headphones or a headphone adapter that supports aptX. But they say it is much better sound. I've heard others say it's pretty close to wired sound. So getting rid of the wires is great. I love getting rid of the wires. They get all tangled and messed up. And how many hours of your life are spent untangling headphone wires so you can listen? And yet, to my ears, wired is still better than Bluetooth. I'm hoping that these aptX will get pretty close. It's weird because even the Apple AirPods, their newest, coolest wireless AirPods, don't support aptX yet. Some phones do, not Apple's, as Apple's computer does. But so I'm, it's still, I guess it's still an emerging technology. Anyway, you could try it. I think because you have such good headphones, you're not going to like it as much.
Yeah, makes sense.
You get the convenience without the quality. Oh, that's sad. And then there's also, the inevitable headaches that come along with Bluetooth, dropouts, occasional dropouts. The worst thing for me is having to pair it. It seems like you shouldn't have to pair it all the time, but it seems that I'm often repairing my Bluetooth headphones. It just drives me nuts. That's one of the things I really like about the Apple AirPods. Those do tend to stay paired, and they're so easy to repair that it doesn't present a problem for me. And the audio quality is good. Just, in my opinion, not as great. You may not notice the difference. David, Fort Myers, Florida, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Doing all right. Well, I got a question about setting up basically two independent networks in the same house. I currently have one of those combined Comcast boxes that's both the router and the cable modem, and for another totally unrelated reason, I'm getting rid of that, and I want to set up. I think I've heard you and Steve Gibson talk about the Ubiquity router.
Yeah, they're cool.
Where you can, so you can have basically separate networks, right? Where one
see. So you're not going to have two different internet service connections.
No.
You want to set up separate networks for, and this is why Steve Gibson recommends it, the Internet of Things devices.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm taking this opportunity to try and get a look because those are getting more and more tempting to get to the Internet of Service.
Sure, I love the Internet of Things, but then we keep hearing stories that, I have those great Hue light bulbs that allow me to control my color and brightness remotely with an app or even with a automated program like If This Then That in my Amazon Echo, I could say, Echo, make the room blue, or dim the lights for television, and it'll do it automatically. That's cool. But then you hear these stories of bad guys using the lights to get into your Wi-Fi network and hack your systems. And a lot of Internet of Things devices have that potential. It's not so much, I mean, who cares if somebody hacks your light bulb and makes it green? That's minor. Sure. But because they're connected to your Wi-Fi network, they become a gateway into your network for a bad guy who can commandeer them. And a lot of these Internet of Things devices are commandeerable. They get patched. The big problem is, I think it was Zigbee, one of the protocols, I'm pretty sure it was the Zigbee protocol, had a flaw in it. So anything, including these Hue light bulbs, it wasn't Hue's fault, it wasn't Philips' fault, but because they used Zigbee, they were hackable. And so that means somebody could sit out in your curb, get into your light bulb, and then use that to get to your computer and then do all sorts of mischief. So we don't want to do that. So the idea that Steve has, it's a little tricksy. He does document it on his website, grc.com. Initially, he said, well, the only way to do that is have three routers, and that you can use the 3 routers in a topology to create 2 isolated Wi-Fi networks. One is secure, that's where your computers are. The other is insecure, that's where your Internet of Things, your doorbells, and your lights, and your refrigerator are. And the refrigerator can't jump the barrier into your secure network. Right. Now he says you can use this Ubiquiti router, and it's a cheap router. It's $59, something like that, to do the same thing because it has some sophisticated software tools that let you do isolated networks. So I haven't done it, but I'll put a link in the show notes to Steve's page where he talks about it. I live with it. I don't, I may live to regret it, frankly.
Yeah.
But I can't, and I could figure it out. I don't have the patience, or maybe I don't really even care. But my Ring doorbell is on my main network. All my Internet of Things, my Smart Things hub, all of that, they're all on the main network. I just live with it.
I thought I'd heard you one time talk about you, and it's kind of what I'm getting at. Eventually, wanted to get at was, I wanted to have a separate connection or whatever network for my work and separate for my.
I do have that.
For everything else. Okay.
Yeah, I do have that, but that's. I literally have 2 internet service connections.
Oh.
And this is just because Comcast is such a horrifically terrible company.
Yeah.
I got a business class connection from them, and then I wanted to turn off my home system, and they said, well, it costs you more to disconnect this than to keep it. Yeah. And I said, why is that? And they have a very Byzantine structure. That's all I can say. I don't even understand it. But they convinced me, well, it'd be cheaper to keep both. And the virtue of that is I have a separate, my server is on my business class network. It is not, in fact, exposed to anything else, including the wireless doorbell and the Smart Things hub. So,
and that's what I was hoping to achieve.
But to do that is expensive because I have 2 different internet connections.
Yeah.
But you could do this with the Ubiquiti. It's the Edge Router X, $59, not difficult to do. That would probably be the better way to try it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Oh, we also have a know-how, I guess. I didn't know this. But, David, there's Father Robert apparently did this on a know-how episode. So that's twit.tv. I don't know if you're familiar with our podcasts.
Yeah, sure am.
twit.tv/KH. And I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe the chat room will tell me, but he's, know-how's great.
Look it up.
Yeah, it's great because he just shows you how to do all sorts of geeky stuff. And it is nice to watch somebody walk through it.
Well, the reason I was also thinking about you is I guess I hadn't noticed that your 2 networks were actually 2 service.
They are completely separate. They have different routers and everything.
Well, because I was thinking I would use one off of the Ubiquiti to go to my work computer and just have that all dedicated. And I assume Ubiquiti would take care of the DHCP.
Because it has packet routing.
But then I was wanting to go to and then have another one do like a mesh network, like Eros or something like that. And I wasn't sure how I thought I'd heard you mention something before about having to set one at something as a bridge and that kind of takes care that.
Yeah, so
they're both trying to do DHCP.
I have an unusual setup. So the Comcast requires you to use their business class modem for that, and that thing cannot be put in bridge mode. Thank you. So I have to use their router as my DHCP router, their cable modem router as my DHCP router. There's no way around that. So what I did is I attached an ASUS Wi-Fi router. I put that in bridge mode. So the Wi-Fi is bridged, but the Comcast router is doing the DHCP. And that's a completely separate network from
I thought you said something about if you use it as a bridge, you lose some of the functionality of the Eros. If Eros is
yes, Eero does not want to be on a bridge, so I don't, in fact, use the Eero on that network because Eero wants to be the router. Because that's in order to do all the fancy QoS stuff and all of that, they have to do the routing. So you can use all of these mesh routers. Some are more clear about it than others.
Yeah.
I really became aware of it mostly when I started using the Google one. I tried the Google Wi-Fi, and it was very clear. It said, "Don't run us in bridge mode. We look at all the things you lose," and it was this long list of all the benefits. And then so I inquired, and Eero is exactly the same. They just don't make a big deal about it.
Okay, so I guess I'll just set this.
In general, you want the mesh router, the mesh network devices to be your router, your DHCP router.
So it's just a question of whether or not I can turn off DHCP on the...
You can in any normal Comcast situation. It's the business class because they want to charge you for that.
Okay, all right.
The business class wants to charge you an additional $18 a month to give you a static IP. Unless you have a static IP, they will not let you bridge their routers.
Oh, all right.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
You don't have Comcast, I hope.
Well, that is actually what started all this. Is I wanted to do having some trouble with Powerline networking, so I wanted to try and go to Mocha.
I tried Powerline networking. I tried Mocha.
Well, I couldn't even get into the router.
No.
You can't look at our...
Not allowed. No. The next thing I'm going to do is have somebody go under the house and put Ethernet into every room.
Yeah, just
hardwire it, have a closet. But then see, if you use the Edge Router X, you'd put that, it's a little tiny thing, you put that in there, and that has the capability. That's a sophisticated router, much more so than a consumer grade router, and that has this ability to isolate subnets.
But I wasn't sure if you could disable DHCP on one subnet as opposed to another subnet.
Yeah, of course you can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You could have
getting it and playing around with it.
Yeah, it's $50. It's worth it. I have one I would send you because I'm not using it. But eventually I'll probably try it.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the help.
All right, David. Bye-bye. Well, that part's not true, but it is my wife Lisa's birthday. Happy birthday, Lisa. And thank you, Mikey. Michael Cozy, our musical director. He is so great. I appreciate you're doing that for me. Thank you also to Kim Schaffer. She's been answering the phones all day. A thankless task unless I thank her. So thank you. And thanks to you all for being here. We have fun. This is I love communing with my fellow geeks. We did a little bit of that today. And then introducing normal people like you maybe into the wonderful, wacky world of geekdom. Stephen from Los Angeles is next. Hi, Stephen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Stephen.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. What can I do for you?
Yes, I have a question. I was listening to my satellite radio on my phone, and my AM/FM RF radio, regular radio, was in between channels, and I moved over towards the AM. I moved the phone to the RF AM radio, and then the signal switched from the satellite to the radio.
What?
I don't know how that happened.
Wait a minute. Okay, Okay, so did you hear? Okay, so you're listening to satellite radio on your phone,
right?
And you get next to the regular radio. And what happened? The satellite radio appeared on your regular radio, or the regular radio appeared on your phone?
No, you had it right.
Satellite radio appeared on... Wow.
It's to the radio.
Wow. Wow. So, wow. I don't know how that happened. Wait a minute. Now, let me think about this. So your radio's tuned in between the dial, And somehow it picked up what you were listening to on the phone. You're just running. You're running like the SiriusXM app, right? You're not.
No. I was just a regular satellite radio.
How do you do that on your phone?
App. It was on an app. It's an app.
Yeah, it's an app. Yeah.
Phone.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're listening to the satellite radio app. So you're really just listening to the audio from an app. There's no satellite involved, really. The app is getting it over the internet. So my question though is, how did the phone's audio get passed off to the radio?
Yeah.
Does the radio have Bluetooth?
No, just a regular old AM/FM radio.
And if you step farther away, does it stop?
Yes.
And then you get closer, it comes back?
Yes.
I'll have what he's having, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how that could happen. No, I'm puzzled.
I heard. That's one to research for me, yeah.
It's Twilight Zone, man. Submitted for your approval. Stephen in Los Angeles. His radio is playing his phone. Boy, that'd be cool if we could do that. Then I wouldn't really need a Bluetooth speaker. I just put my phone next to my radio. There's no way that could happen. There's no way in the world that could happen, Stephen. You have created an amazing thing, and you baffled me. Tell you what, keep listening. Chat room is going to work on this. They're skeptical, I might say, but they're going to work on it. So you understand, he's listening, and it doesn't matter that it's satellite radio. He's listening to audio in an app on his phone. And Stephen, is it an Android or an iPhone?
No, just a regular smartphone.
It's an Android smartphone. He's listening to music on his Android smartphone, and he gets next to a radio tuned to white space, and he hears his phone. It's like maybe it isn't the radio. So there's a couple possibilities. It could be the radio somehow picking up some radio signal from his phone. That makes no sense. It does it? Maybe his phone's sending out radio waves. Or it could be the speaker on the radio is picking up. No, none of this makes any sense. Or does it? Nation says my computer speakers go bleep bloop when I get a cell phone call. I'm going to have to go to Bill Hickey, our chief engineer here, and ask him. This man has a radio telephony certificate first ticket. He should know. How could this happen? Here's Boz is saying, maybe it's this is a good one. Boz, see our chat room. Very interesting. Boz says, could it be a hearing aid compatible phone? Right? They're phones that have that hearing aid capability that your hearing aids pick up radio from the phone and then play it back. I bet you that's what it is. The phone must have a transmitter of some kind, probably for a hearing aid. That must be it. One last call, I think, from AI in LA, or maybe it's Al. Hey, Al.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Welcome. What can I do for you?
Good. Hey, I'm calling because I want to get a new, I guess the CPU. I have a desktop.
Yeah.
That I got from a friend.
Okay.
Right, and it's a HP Compact DC 7800.
Okay.
But that's kind of old.
Kind of old. Kind of old. That's okay. Or can you use it? Are you using it?
Well, I'm using it to go online and do some stuff, but what I want to do is get something that's kind of a little more upgraded, and
you want to replace it. You want to replace it.
Kind of, yeah. I either want to replace it, or I don't know if it can just stay in a.
I got a good solution for you. This computer's running Windows XP, which is not safe anymore because Microsoft's no longer updating it. And I think you're going to I'm going to have you abandon Windows entirely. But before you do, you're going to download, you're going to go to ubuntu.com. Ubuntu. ubuntu.com. This is don't get scared. This is an operating system, not Windows, not Mac. It's called Linux. It's free. It's designed to run on older systems very well. And it's rock solid and super secure. I'm going to guess that all you really do on your computer is browse, do email, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So this is going to give you a Firefox browser. It's going to actually give you a full Microsoft Office compatible suite called LibreOffice. So if you wanted to do word processing or spreadsheets, you could. Now, it's a little, it's a little daunting, but they have instructions there for making an install key or USB key installer and installing it on this computer. It'll be like getting a fresh computer, and it's secure. Now, if that doesn't work, of course, the good news is desktops are cheap these days. You could, for $400, get a nice replacement for that. I'd go to Dell, D-E-L-L, if I were you. But try Ubuntu first. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Thank you, sir. I will let you do your thing, and then I will come back with a promo.
Sounds good.
Another option, by the way, if Al would be to look for something called a Chrome box, which is maybe only a few $100s. That's got Linux pre-installed on it, and you can use your mouse, your keyboard, and your monitor that you already have. You just take out that little thing, the compact, take that out of the equation, put the Chrome box there instead, plug the keyboard, mouse, and monitor into that, and that is a very secure, easy to use, very inexpensive solution. You'll still use your monitor, mouse, and keyboard, but you won't have the problems you're going to have with Windows XP.
I have Windows 10.
Oh, you do?
I went and bought Windows 10, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, when you installed Windows 10, you probably just did the upgrade.
I haven't installed it yet. I haven't installed it yet.
All right. You bought it?
Yeah, I went and bought it at Fry's.
Okay. I don't think it's going to run well on that old computer.
I was thinking the same thing, but go ahead.
I would take it back if they'd take your money back. When you go in there, trade it in. It'll be at the same price for a Chrome box. A Chrome box is a CPU designed to replace that CPU, but it's not Windows. It's just the Chrome browser in a highly secure environment. And all the things you do right now, it'll do faster and safer.
Okay.
And that is Linux, by the way, but it's already installed and ready to go, and it's very easy to use. If you've ever used a browser, you'll be right up to speed immediately.
Right. So I can still go online. I can still use. Should I still use like Excel and Windows on the Chrome box?
You can't use Windows. Do you use Excel?
Yes, I do.
So Microsoft offers a free online version of Excel that's like 80% of the full program. Excel Online. You can use that. You can also use Google's spreadsheets, which are free, and those are very much like Excel. The idea of a Chrome box is everything is stored on the Google Cloud, not locally. So if you go somewhere and you want your data, you could just log in and use your data anywhere else, too.
Okay.
So I think the Chrome box is a really good solution that will do what most people want to do without the risk. You're running a lot of risk right now running XP.
Right.
How much did you pay for Windows 10? $110, $120?
Yeah, I paid like $120. Yeah.
So the Chrome box, I'm pretty sure Fry's will have one. It's about $200.
Okay.
So just trade it in.
Just trade it in, right? Because I haven't opened it up yet, and I didn't want to because I didn't want to like.
I think you'd be so much happier. What do you do in Excel?
Just spreadsheets.
For like keeping track of stuff?
Yeah, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy. You can totally do it in the Google. One of the things that makes the Chrome OS work is that you use all the Google services. So you can use Google Mail, and they have a spreadsheet program that'd be just all you'd ever need to be as good as Excel. And the best thing, it's automatically backed up. You don't even have to worry about backup.
Oh, great. That sounds great.
I think that's the right solution. If Fry's doesn't have it, Staples does. You can get it at Amazon online. There's lots of places you can get it.
Right, because I go to Staples, Fry's, Best Buy.
Yeah, all of them. Some of them, if Fry's doesn't, and I bet you Fry's does, but if Fry's doesn't, somebody will have a Chromebox. And they're made by a variety of companies. ASUS, Acer, HP makes a Chromebox.
Right.
Chromebox is what you're looking for.
Okay, so go with the Chromebox.
Go with definitely the best solution. It's good. At first, you're going to say, well, this isn't Windows, but it's not going to take long for you to figure it out. And it'll do everything that you want to do for sure.
That sounds
much safer, too.
All right.
All right?
Thanks, Leo. I listen to you every weekend.
Bless you, Al. If you have any questions, call me up, okay?
Will do.
Thanks, Al.
All right. Have a good one.
See you. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.